Hey there, Dr. Danny Miller. It's Gavin, back at it again with my last and final video for the semester. So in this video, I'm going to give you my whole PowerPoint, go over everything that's in it, screen record the whole thing. It's going to be great. And I'm also going to show off my final pulley, show off some testing that I did, and just kind of wrap everything up.
Alright, so here's my final pulley in all of its glory. There's a scale that's going to measure how much things are weighing. There's my cup with its golf balls in it, securely connected to my 2 pulleys. It looks fantastic, and just to show you that it works, woo! Amazing. Pulley design project. My name is Gavin Waldrop. I'm in your 1315 distance class. So a little bit about myself. I'm going to major in civil engineering. My experience with engineering extends to my internship at an architecture firm called Parkhill Smith & Cooper, which I worked at for my entire senior year of high school. I also took engineering classes my entire high school career, but this is my first semester of college, so this is the only engineering class I've really taken thus far. So I'm hoping this project goes well. Next, for the project itself, I was assigned to build a double pulley system. With the system, I had to be able to lift different objects to different weights to measure masses and forces applied to said objects. So basically what I did is I went to the prompt that was given on Blackboard, and I put the restrictions, and I put exactly what I had to do with the project on this slide. I couldn't spend more than $50, I couldn't lift anything that weighed more than 20 pounds, and I had to fit my project within a 4 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot cube. For my actual build, I met each of these requirements with no issues, and I managed to build a fully functioning double pulley system with parts from Home Depot and my store. Alright, moving on, design and improvements. Throughout the process, I came to realize that building a double pulley system wasn't too hard. There were just a few hiccups here and there when I was building. For when I had to change what I was lifting, I essentially created an elevator for objects to be lifted while in my cup instead of directly lifting the objects. Basically, why I did that is so that when I lifted certain things like golf balls, or I lifted my PlayStation controller at one point, it was 1,000 times easier to just lift the golf balls while in the cup rather than trying to retie the string to multiple golf balls or one golf ball at once. It just made testing simpler, and it made building easier, and it made everything easier, really. Furthermore, I found that string isn't the best material to try and keep tidy and straight, so it took a few tries to get the right knots in the right position, but apart from these, building wasn't too hard for the double pulley system. On to brainstorming. That's the picture from Blackboard that I was given. There aren't too many ways to build a double pulley system. I looked at the 2 different pictures on Blackboard, and I built the easier one in my opinion, which happened to be the left one. The issue I had was that there was nowhere for me to build this, so I had to build a smaller double pulley system using the shelf in my dorm, but it worked. I don't really have anywhere else to build a double pulley system, so I just did it in my dorm, and I figured putting some command strips on my shelf was probably the easiest way, and it supported itself perfectly fine. Here's the picture of my initial design drawing. I mentioned that in one of the earlier YouTube videos. It's essentially the same as the left picture here. It just shows where the fixed pulley is on my shelf and the movable pulley under it, where the force is going to be applied, and how that force is going to move through the pulley system. My prices, I got my receipts from both Academy and Home Depot. From Academy, I bought the scale. From Home Depot, I bought the twine, the pulleys, and the command hooks. So I spent a total of $22.99 without tax, and so that wouldn't be anywhere close to $50, so I met that requirement perfectly fine. Moving on, my performance. My system worked exactly as I had hoped. It lifts objects, and it allows me to weigh them, basically. It turned out cleaner as the weeks went on. If I had been able to build it bigger, I would have, but it functions well on the smaller scale too. It allows me to lift smaller things like golf balls and measure the sizes of those, so in my opinion, it works perfectly fine. Whenever I first started out, the pulley system wasn't the cleanest, and I wasn't lifting the cup as I am towards the end, but as the weeks went on, it got cleaner, and it looked better, and it allowed me to really test things more thoroughly rather than trying to let them on their own. Next, design changes. My initial prototype wasn't clean. As I show on the bottom picture, I used a PlayStation controller towards the beginning, but I eventually changed to a cup to lift different things. Plus, the controller had string wrapped around it, and it was taped to make sure that it would stay in place. And the issue with that is that the string would unravel and fall off, and it just was not a good way of testing things. I essentially just used that to show that I could lift something with my double pulley system, and the PlayStation controller was the nearest thing to me that I could lift, so I used that. Plus, the strings weren't too long, they weren't clean, so I cut them and ensured that everything worked properly for the final prototype of my double pulley system. So by the end, as the weeks went on, it looked cleaner, it looked better, and it worked better, and so that's what I changed. Looking at testing. For testing, I used my cup as basically a constant to weigh other objects. I used my scale to first measure the cup on its own, then I included the cup with 1 golf ball in it, then the cup with 2 golf balls. This allowed me to accurately find the weight of a golf ball by subtracting the weight of the cup from the total weight. The cup functioned as a means of holding my objects for easier accessibility, and it also functioned as a control variable in the testing. And looking at my data, I tested the cup alone, the cup with 1 golf ball, and the cup with 2 golf balls, and I did 3 different tests for each one, and I found the mean of each test, and from then on, I found the weight of 1 golf ball from subtracting it from the weight of the cup for the second column I had there, and then for the third column, I subtracted the weight of the second golf ball from the weight of the first golf ball to see if there was any kind of difference or similarity, and I found the average weight of a golf ball, which is around 1.683 ounces. I also used ounces for this because my scale was in terms of pounds, and I just converted the pounds to ounces, and I went with that. And it seemed like a simpler, easier way of doing that. So moving on from the testing, here's a video of my initial pulley. You can watch me lift and move my little PlayStation controller. It worked. It wasn't the cleanest, but it worked, and that was what was important for that initial pulley testing. Now looking at the refined pulley, it looks much cleaner, it works much better, and it gives me a constant variable in the cup, allowing me to lift different things rather than just the cup itself and weighing that, like the PlayStation controller had done. My biggest hurdle, the hardest part of the project was probably building the entire thing. Also, don't mind the picture, I thought it was funny. So producing a design and testing it wasn't very difficult, but I had to get some help ensuring my pulley system worked while also fitting within the constraints provided. So my friend accompanied me to Home Depot to get supplies, and he also helped me come up with a way to bring my design into the real world using my shelf. I used a hook that people use for pictures or shelves for my pulley system, and used string to hook up the rest of the system. It took a while to put it all together, and it was also very difficult making sure it was clean. So my friend Juan, he's a chemical engineering major, he helped me put the thing together. I tested everything myself. It was just a matter of holding knots while one person tied the other, because I only have 2 hands and can only do so much by myself. So I had some help when I was building it, but I did the testing, the PowerPoint, everything else on my own. And I think that was the biggest hurdle, was trying to make sure everything was clean and make sure it looked good. But apart from that, it wasn't too hard building it, and it wasn't too hard testing everything. So, yeah. Lessons learned. As most projects go, I would have started building and testing sooner than I did. It would make for an easier time doing the math and ensuring it worked properly, and I probably should have allotted more time for this project. And so, for next time, whenever I do have a project like this, I'll make sure to allot a certain amount of time and set certain goals for each week, because while I did do the progress videos, it more so seemed like I'd do whatever I could throughout the week and then just upload a video of what I've done, rather than setting goals for each week and uploading the video of how I accomplished said goal. And so looking forward to the future, I think that's what I'll work on and try and do differently for big projects like this one or semester projects like this one. Honestly, I think mine worked perfectly fine, and I enjoyed building it and testing it, and it was a really interesting build, and it was a whole lot different than most of my other classes. So, and I like the ability to do it on my own, which was really nice. Really make something come into fruition. So anyways, moving on, questions. I don't really have any questions, but if I think of any, I'll be sure to write them down here. Anyways, thank you, Dr. Dana Miller. Just as a little added bonus clip, here's the aftermath of what happened. I left the golf balls in there overnight. It knocked the string down, which was taped to my cup. So we're just gonna take that down. So yeah, here's the scale, nice and knotted. There's the pulley falling, and yeah. So that's about everything there was to it. I'm gonna take it all apart so I don't get in trouble with my RA. And yeah, this was a fun project. Jesus, why can't I get this off? Alright, well, I'll worry about that when I'm not holding a camera. Anyways, this was fun, Dr. Dana Miller. I've got to clean this stuff up now. So I hope you have a good day. Thank you.